My name is Susan Moore. I'm the Community Engagement Manager here with IIBA.
And I'm Scott Bennett. I'm the Manager of Business Analysis here at the International Institute of Business Analysis.
All right, we've got a great topic today. I know there's always a lot of buzz in our community about this, but we're going to be talking about tips for new business analysis professionals. That's the term because they can
Yep.
have a lot of different job titles.
Yeah, looking forward to this talk. And just a reminder for those of you that are joining us live, we are taking your questions. So please put your questions in the chat and we will get to those as we go through. These are intended to be interactive sessions. So please participate and we will answer as many questions as we can get through in the next half hour.
And I have a feeling that we're going to get a lot of questions about this because, we've had a couple of topics around this. Most recently, we've done a building business reputation talk here. We've actually just done we did a public webinar, and you can find it on YouTube actually in our channel. People have a lot of questions about starting their business analysis career, whether you're just getting out of school or you're transitioning from one career into a business analysis role. So let's start. So what are some tips that you've got for new business analysis professionals?
Yeah, when I think about the people that I've coached and mentored over the years, I'm on my third team that I'm managing. I think about three areas. One is domain knowledge, so business knowledge, if you will. Another one is technical knowledge, and the other one are BA skills. So that my three tips here would be from a domain perspective. You need to understand the business, and a great way to do that is see if you can find an opportunity to job shadow someone. I did this when I worked for a large Canadian bank. I spent half a day literally sitting in the office of a small business loan officer and just observing what she did that day. Looking over her shoulder, seeing what she did on her computer, the phone calls she was making, following up with people. It was a really interesting experience because when you ask someone, what do you do? They sort of generalize. But when you sit and watch them do something and you're allowed to ask questions, it's a great experience. So that's domain knowledge. Technical knowledge, you can handle the same way. You've got some technical resources you're working with. You can spend some time. There are a lot of technical online courses you can take. But for the BA skills, this is another one that might be a little challenging for people. Partnering with a more senior BA is a great opportunity. Again, you're observing, you're watching. We've talked about that one before. But another one is volunteering. So when you're a newer BA, the best thing you can do is get more experience. And when you volunteer for an organization, you're thrown some challenges, some practical things to do, and working through those can really help you through that. And Susan, I know we always talk about chapters here, but it's a prime opportunity for IIBA chapter involvement, right?
That's right. One of the benefits that our members have in being part of IIBA is they get to be part of whatever their local chapter is, and heck, they can choose to be part of a different chapter or many chapters if they want to. Chapters have a built-in community of people that do what we do, who've had the same challenges. Everybody has started as a BA at some point in their career. Um, and so our chapters have lots of programs that help folks that are either new out of college or just coming into the profession develop those skills. So oftentimes chapters have volunteer positions. You can be part of a board. You can be part of an event. You can start to be around those professionals that are doing what they do. Some of them also have mentorship programs, and you can sign up to be mentored, or you can mentor. So you can play either side of that relationship. And then our chapters have tons and tons and tons of opportunities to network, whether it's through thought leaders and speakers that come in, whether it's through people that have just been doing this for a long time. And, you and I have talked about, we maybe came to the benefits of networking a little bit later in our career, but we live in an increasingly small digital world, meaning, if you're applying for a job or if you want to get into that dream company, just putting a resume on somebody's desk is not everything. Really knowing somebody who can show you the ropes, that knows about a position in that company, that's really the best way to find jobs these days.
Yeah, and I think that, as someone who's new to this field, reaching out and connecting might seem a little intimidating, but it's something that you really should invest in. You and I talked earlier, I really didn't invest in my business analysis network until a couple of years ago, after 20 years of experience. That to me was a mistake on my part. So start early and get that. And for me, someone in my position, I know you've done this as well, I'm willing to help people that are looking for a position. I had a team member on my last team 3 weeks ago that got displaced from their work because they were downsizing. And I had an opportunity that someone reached out about, and I connected the two. Um, he didn't take that opportunity, but it was only 3 weeks before he's now into his position. The market's hot right now.
That's right.
Yeah.
I, I I
We're
think
starting
that,
to get some questions already. That's great to
oh
see.
my goodness. Holy smokes. All right. Well, you know what? Let's stop here and let's take some questions. So, I'm currently working towards the IIBA certificate. I'd like to find out if attending webinars such as this one can be used towards the 21 hours. We've actually had this question a couple of times. So this is not a webinar, and I do not believe that this counts towards PDUs.
No.
However, that I think IIBA, you can do some self-study. So, there's webinars. There are some public webinars that are out there, and actually check out our IIBA YouTube channel, because oftentimes we republish those public webinars there. If you're an IIBA member, you can come to our member webinars. And actually, I'll just do a little quick promotion here, because in just about an hour and a half from now, we have got a fantastic member webinar on information mapping. I did not realize it's not just a methodology, but it's a whole organization. And they're going to come talk about building engaging documentation using that format. Anyway,
Yeah,
that
that
was a
sounds
little
really
more than
exciting.
you.
I signed up for that one.
Yeah, it's going to be a great one. But so those webinars you can definitely get the PDUs for. So next question, how does an IIBA chapter get created?
That's
Well,
a good question.
that is a good question, and I am probably not the expert, but I bet you we've got some folks in our LinkedIn who are chapter leaders who could probably answer that. But let me tell you a little bit about what I do know. So we've got over 120 chapters all over the world, and we've always got new ones starting. We've got a bunch of them starting each year. So if you don't see one currently in your city, state, region, province, country, stay tuned, because we may have one. There is information out there. If there is not one in your area, there is information on our website about how you can start that process. And you would need to reach out. They are chartered, they have to have business plans, they are run like a small nonprofit. So there's paperwork in addition to just the, getting people to come and hear speakers.
So I'm going to jump in there. Maybe we can get our social media pro, Rosalind, who's working behind the scenes with us. Rosalind, if you're able to find that, how to get a chapter started, please drop a link in for the folks there. And I don't know if that one's an easy one to find or not, but thanks, Rosalind, for checking into that.
Um, so so we were talking about networking, and my thought on this is that I'm a little bit of an introvert, and I have found that a platform like LinkedIn makes networking easier. Um, I can reach out to somebody and make a connection, and it can just be that. It can just be a connection. I can reach out and I can add a note to that. Hey, I saw you speak at da da da. I'd really be interested in having a virtual coffee with you. And sometimes I don't get any response, and that's totally fine. I don't take that personally, but sometimes I do. And sometimes you meet some really interesting people. I think it's got to be an authentic connection. I think you can't go in demanding that they give you something. It's like any other relationship that we have. If you're going to do some networking, you want to make connections and be authentic and get to know each other.
Yeah, an important part of networking as well. I learned this years ago, and I've networked in other areas. There's this really good book called Dig Your Well Before You're Thirsty. And the idea is, if you become unemployed and you need your network, don't wait until then to build your network. So build your network early. But one thing that I learned through that is it's important that you don't just connect with people, but that you provide value to your network. So we've got a talk coming up, I guess, in a month or so, or a LinkedIn Live. We're going to talk specifically about networking. But if you think about that, what can I provide value to my network? So perhaps someone you worked with before, you met, has an interest in baseball or a specific sport. You see some headline of, hey, something's evolving, send it to them and say, hey, I thought of you and thought it's a way to add value to your network. There might be a new tip or technique that's come out, share it with people. That way it's a give and take relationship, and helps build that relationship.
I think sometimes when we do things online, we get a little bit disinhibited, meaning we sometimes forget where we are, and who we're talking to, and we might, engage in things that if we were having a in real life conversation with somebody that we didn't know, right? There would be a way that we would talk with them. So just kind of keep that in mind as you're doing digital networking, that you do still want to keep a sense of, okay, I really don't know this person. I want to get to know them. I'm not going to take this personally if they don't reach back out to me. So, but find your style. Networking, just like everything else, is really about your style. So, um, wow. And in that time, we have like 110 more questions. Oh my gosh. All right. So let's see. Um, Next question. Okay, so this one sounds a little controversial, but I'm going to ask. There's a gap between gaining BA certifications and job opportunities, especially for new BAs. How is IIBA bridging this gap? We've had some conversations about certifications, and using that to get a job, and I personally think certifications are part of that equation. It's not all of the equation when you're out there job hunting.
Yeah, the certification is certainly a leg up. So being a hiring manager, if I see someone who's certified and not certified, automatically I'm thinking this person is more qualified. But if you sit across the interview table from me and you have a hard time communicating, but you've got a certification versus someone that communicates very fluidly, I'm going towards the person with the stronger communication skills. So a certification is certainly going to help, but there's no guarantee that just because you passed an exam, it's going to get you a job. You still have to have some business knowledge, some technical knowledge, and most importantly, we are communicators. We work with human beings. If you don't have that as one of your core skills, it's going to be challenging for you.
And so what I would say about bridging that gap, so having the certification, Gary Edwards, who's our resident data scientist, said certifications are great for finding your community by saying, I'm serious about my career. Here is my BA certification. But it's also a way of showing people that we've applied, we know how to use that knowledge. But to your point, there is still that gap. And so I think that there are benefits of being an IIBA member that give you resources and tools for you to do that work in order to fill that gap. And one of the resources I think of is our career action guide. And it's a like a 5-step plan. I always talk about it as it's like applying business analysis to your own career, but it's based on our business analysis competency model. So if you want to know what are the key knowledge areas and underlying competencies, that's the book that you need access to. And the rest of that guide then takes you through a process by which you can evaluate your own skills and identify where you need to develop. So I think that career action guide is part of the way that you can do that. And that's a member to or that's a benefit to our members. So that's a great
I'll
question.
just add one more thing. So how is IIBA bridging that gap? I think the chapter experience really helps on that front. Building those connections, seeing what the opportunities are. If you can connect with a mentor, that mentor will help guide you through the process of, okay, what are those areas you might need to work on, or where are those areas that are available in your local market that they might be aware of. More senior BAs would have a broader network. They might be able to reach out and say, hey, anybody looking at hiring? As I mentioned earlier, the market's really hot right now. So there are a lot of opportunities out there.
And that's a great plug, because I think the other part of that gap is you need to build that network. You need to get to know people, and they need to get to know you, and and what your skills are and just who you are. All right. So let's see. What are some good online platforms to prepare for CBAP and some tips? So we've got lots of endorsed education providers. In fact, out on our website, we have a list of all of the endorsed education providers that provide training and education that will get you what you need in order to prepare for the CBAP. Many of those organizations also do exam preparation courses as part of that. In fact, I think we just did a public webinar a couple of weeks ago with one of them, and you can find that on our YouTube channel as well. I think it had to do with acing the questions on CBAP or something like that. But I think that's a great way. We also we work with a number of academic institutions all over the world who also can provide you with that preparation. So so check out our website to find education opportunities. Next question. All righty. Is it possible to transform into a BA role after 5 years of graduation, especially in the UK? I've just completed my master's program to get back into the corporate roles of business analysis. I
Yeah,
think
so
right now it is the time.
yeah, and I think absolutely what you need to do is really look at what you bring to the table. So if you've got some BA experience or some BA formal training, but you don't have business knowledge or experience, really focus on what you can bring to the table there. But there's a lot of people that come into this industry from other professions, accounting, HR, people that have interest in technical systems, people that are interested in communicating. Our role really is understanding people, and that's what I love about this role. People typically that report to me all have a nature of curiosity, so they're good at asking questions. They're really good at listening. It's those type of things I think that draw some people into what we do.
You know, I'm thinking about, if you've worked somewhere and you're wanting to get into this profession, you likely have a lot of the transferable skills that you need. I have worked primarily in insurance, and so many of the BAs that I worked with were insurance agents, claims adjusters, and things like that. They knew the business. They were good at people skills, at critical thinking skills. The only thing that we needed to do was get them into IT and train them up on BA skills and techniques, which many of those are things that come naturally to people. They just don't know that's a technique. So,
Yeah.
I think it's yeah. Were you going to add something?
No, I was just sneaking ahead at the next question.
All right. So moving on. Let's see. Next question here is, if someone has prior experience as a BA, do they need to go for the ECBA certification, or can they skip and go to the CCBA certification? Great
Yeah,
question.
yeah, there's a good question. So the ECBA is meant for people that don't have any experience, and you don't have to earn that before you get to CCBA or CBAP, which is the highest one. They are meant for just coming in. So you can go directly for the CCBA. Look at the years of experience generally required there, because you do have to attest to the experience and give references to demonstrate that you have experience, both at the CCBA and that CBAP level. So take a look at the CCBA and the CBAP just to see the years of experience. I think the CCBA is 2 years, 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
But check the website for sure.
Um, our none of our certifications are, there's a word for this, it's cumulative, meaning you don't have to, or graduated or something like that. So you don't have to go ECBA, CCBA, CBAP. In those core certifications, you can choose the one that makes the most sense for you. And in fact, I know I keep talking about webinars we've done, but I actually think on our YouTube channel, there is a webinar out there for helping you to choose the one that would be best for you. So if you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel, clearly there's a lot of good stuff out there on this topic. So, so go do that. Okay. So next question we've got here. How do I prepare for interviews for an entry-level BA position? Any tips?
Yes, I actually wrote an article for Modern Analyst on that. For someone who's new, it's really important that you demonstrate your understanding of the profession. So in the business analysis body of knowledge, there are knowledge areas. And when I interview and I'm interviewing someone new, I ask about those. Um, if you've never heard about them, I encourage you to look at them. Modern Analyst has a great section on their website that are interview questions for business analysis roles. So check out those articles. The one that I wrote is certainly there, but that's a good spot to start looking. You know, the key thing for interviewing as a business analysis, someone who's new to the industry, is being able to demonstrate good listening skills. So good eye contact, summarizing perhaps what someone told you just to verify understanding, good listening skills. Also being able to communicate well. So if someone says, tell me about a time when, you had a challenge, whatever, being able to articulate that, that's really an important base skill. So work through some of those, prepare your most difficult this, most difficult that, rehearse those, get prepared, because that communication skill, as I said before, is really critical.
I am also thinking if you are brand new to the role, maybe you're working on an ECBA, maybe you're not. IIBA has a free resource that I think is a great primer to the language of business analysis, and that is our core standard guide. It's free. It's sort of the mini version of the BABOK. So the BABOK is, I don't know, the BA body of knowledge, that's what that is, business analysis body of knowledge. That's about 500 pages. But that core standard is only about 50 pages. And I think it does a great job, no matter where you are in your career journey, of giving you the language of business analysis, particularly if you are new to the role or if you are the interviewer for that position, to give you an understanding of the kinds of knowledge areas you can ask about or how some of this all works together. So the core standard guide, that's out there, and that is a free download. Okie doke. Next question. Oh my gosh, we've gotten so many. They're piling up here. Let's see. All right. In the current state of affairs, roles are getting merged. We're hearing a lot about that for the BA. So data analyst, Python, business consultant. What's your take on the future in that? And I guess it's, where do you see the BA role kind of getting merged into?
Yeah, so traditionally, if I look at 20 years ago, there was a very clear defined business analyst role because it was new relatively in the marketplace that, hey, if you get a business analyst in, you get your requirements right, your projects are going to be much more successful. That has evolved over the last couple of decades into business analysis really is a skill set that can be applied in many different roles. And we've got on our website a spoke model that talks about those different types of roles that business analysis skills are useful for. Being a data analyst, in cybersecurity, there's a number of these different areas. So it's not, I wouldn't say the BA role is less and less frequent. It's more the skills are being recognized and being used by a bunch of different job titles. So it's gone from a job title to a role function. We're all problem solvers. We all need to know we're solving the right problem so that we can be successful and deliver value. And that's, one of the key things that our skill set's about.
Our Chief Growth Officer, Keith Ellis, he talks about T-shaped skills, where business analysis skills are the long line in that, where you want to go deep. You want to be, really well versed in all of the skills around that, but that the specializations are the top of that T that go across, so that you may have specializations, whether it's in data analysis or cybersecurity analysis, but that is all based on a real firm understanding of data analysis. Business analysis. But I do think that there is still place in organizations for business analysis. So let me just say this to the agile organizations out there that have been getting rid of that title. Business analysis is still needed. You still have problems to solve, and you still need an orderly framework in order to do that. So invest in those skills, whatever you want to call that person. But so there's my agile curmudgeon speech of the day. Okay, moving on. So in each of your opinions, which industries do you see paying the most for new BAs? And what are some common reasons for this connection between salary and specific industry? This,
That's a good question, and we do have some intellectual property around a salary survey. So every year we do a survey of the industry. So as a member, you have access to this report, and you can see in there where various industries play. So I don't want to give too much away there because it is specific research that is a value of our members. But in general, the largest industries where BAs are employed are technology and financial services.
yeah, and I think a lot of the times it's because both of those have so much risk in them, that typically they tend to have a lot of business analysis professionals and tend to invest in them because they tend to have bigger budgets too. But they're but business analysis plays a role in other types of organizations and government entities as well. So really quickly, so that survey that Scott's talking about is our global state of business analysis, and our members get access to the results of that every year, and we are going to send out the one for this year coming up here in just a couple of months. I think it goes out sometime in June or July. So if you're a member, you get to participate in that, and we really want that information so that we can share it with everybody, companies, and things like that. Okay. Let's see here. I just had my CBAP. What other certifications do you think I should prepare for? Uh, I think it just depends on where you want to be. That's listen, you've spent a lot of time and money in order to get that certification. Um, you know, if you're feeling like you need to add more to it because it's not getting you where you want to go, then I think take a look around you, take a look at your organization and see if they're needing some particular skill sets. I don't know. What do you
Yeah,
think?
the way to answer that is, first of all, congratulations on achieving your CPAP. That is a big milestone in your
That
career.
is a
So
big milestone.
congratulations there. Other certifications. So I have my CBAP. I got mine back in 2010. Just last year, I got my CBDA, so certification in business data analytics. And the reason I did that is because my team's been investing in data analytics, and I needed to know the language, the processes, the understanding how you present information in a meaningful way to executives, so you're not just dumping data in front of them. So for me, I had a business need for it. So I think, Susan, I agree with you. Where there's a need, jump in there. Cybersecurity is hot right now. It's constantly growing. And I think that industry is just starting to realize the value of business analysis in terms of, again, understanding what the need is, what's the right problem we're trying to solve, to be able to work with those technical resources. That has been missing. And in my last team, I had a BA jump in that space and start to work. And I got accolades on a monthly basis about, oh, I'm so glad he's working with us. We did this, we did that. So there certainly is value. So yeah, think about what portion you want to get deeper on and look at that.
And again, think about where you want to find your own community. So I do have a business analysis certification from a different organization, but I also have several agile certifications. I was part of an early agile transformation, and that work meant something to me, and I wanted to first of all I wanted to test my own knowledge of how much of this stuff do I really know. But then I also wanted people to realize that was a big part of what I had been doing. So I think you just got to find what makes sense. Okay, next up, how do you find a mentor? I'll give you the I'll go back to sort of be part of a chapter, be part of an IIBA chapter. Many of those have mentorship programs, so that if you are not currently in an organization or have a BA role, being part of that mentorship program, either as a mentor or as somebody that's getting mentored, you can have access to that network.
Yeah, and there are, so a business analysis network would be one, mentor would be one type of mentor, but you might also want to consider, if you're further into your career, maybe a business mentor, or maybe a technical mentor. So think outside of the profession, and maybe you can gain further insights into, what keeps you awake at night? how do you deal with these huge challenges? Might be another way to look at it.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to skip around. It looks like we did have a couple of questions about mentoring. Um, Here's a question. How, because you mentioned this earlier, how can I develop more technical knowledge?
Yeah, that one I think, from my perspective, is an easier one than other areas. There's so many courses now that are online, that you can take, that might be 8 hours worth of content or 40 hours worth of content. I think those opportunities are very easy for technical things. So if you're learning more about Excel, or you want to learn something about Python, there seems to be a lot of resources out there to do that.
Yeah, I would agree. I think there's a lot of online platforms where you can find that. And again, I think it's just take a look inside your organization or understand where you want to specialize, and then find out the tools and things that you need to learn. And then I think it helps you to make a development plan to gain that knowledge. How do I shift to BA as a new career? And we've talked a little bit about this. We talked about if you're somebody that's already working and moving into that role, some ways that you can do that. But I wanted to also mention, if you are fresh out of school and you are looking for that opportunity, there are some things that you could be doing there, and maybe even some tips there. So certainly, I think if you are just coming out of school and you're looking for the opportunity, I know I sound like a broken record, but really, be, invest in an IIBA membership, because I think what you will get back in terms of networking, resources, tools, education, I think you're easily going to get that. And think of that as an investment in your career. And that can be a great way to find a job in your community, because many times members are from all over your area, and know what's going on in their organizations and can connect you with someone. So there's that answer about that. What I would also say is make sure that when you get that first job, or as you are networking fresh out of school, make sure to really immerse yourself in that organization or in getting that job. Meaning, put the put the mobile device to the side and listen. Learn. That is, I think, one of the skills that I know when I've hired BAs. I'm not expecting them to know everything about our company, but I am expecting them to be able to learn, and that is a highly prized skill, that you need, I think, in order to be effective. So if you're just starting into that role, make sure that you are participating as much as possible. They don't expect you to be the smartest person in the room, but they do expect you to listen and learn and participate. So I don't know
Yeah,
what you want to
that-
add to that.
that's a really good point, Susan, and I want to stress that as a BA manager, if you're appearing in an interaction to be distracted by a phone, um, regardless of what's happening, if it's business related on the phone or not, the other person will make assumptions, right? Oh, I guess they're not interested in what I'm talking about, or they're a poor listener, or that type of thing. Absolutely put that phone away as much as possible. Um, and if for some reason you do have to have your phone out because, a relative is in the hospital or something, be upfront and explain that. You know what? Start the meeting off. Sorry, just let you know, if something happens here, I might have to take the call because so and so's in the hospital. But otherwise, I agree with you. Keep the distractions away. Active listening. It's a learning environment, and you need to have your full attention on that.
Yep. All right, let's see. All right, we are just let, all right, more questions. A super long question here. Um, okay, I'm still skipping around. Mhm. Ooh, I'd like to ask, as a new business analysis professional, what are some of the key metrics to measure your performance as a business analyst? Oh, this one's interesting.
Yeah, so I've tried many different ways to put metrics against managing performance of business analysis professionals, and as a manager, I've given up. Business analysis, in my opinion, my personal opinion and experience, is more of an art form than a science. This is not project management where you have to be on time, on budget. Not that that's not important, but measuring the performance is more about quality. And measuring quality is a very difficult thing. If you're looking at how do you get feedback and what are those things that are important, you really need to have a good relationship with your manager, and make sure that you're getting feedback that's helpful for you. I'm a very active coach in my staff. So I pay attention to what they're working on and giving them guidance as they go through to help mature them, because I know the better my team members, the better my team, the more we can accomplish. But not all managers are like that. So that feedback is really important, but it's not going to be quantitative. You're not going to get an 80% mark or an A on something. It's really subjective, to the people that you're working with, both the people on your team and the people that you're servicing in terms of your stakeholders.
Um, I, I really like this. I like this question, and I like your answer, because you're taking me back to when I was a brand new analyst, and I had two coaches, one who was not a great people person and really left me feeling a little bit abandoned as I was trying to navigate this new world of business analysis. And then out of the blue, I happened to be working on a project that was mostly process and workflow based.
Hmm.
And the fact that this person who's still part of my network, I'm not going to mention his name, but his name is Brian. I don't think he's listening. But anyway, he took the time to help me understand the project, and we would work on different kinds of deliverables together. And he would give me his tips and he would give me feedback. And to this day, workflow diagrams are like my go-to diagram. And it's because of that experience. So when I think about how to measure performance, maybe there's even kind of a two-part piece, which is find somebody that's close to you that you respect, that can help to give feedback on the things that you are doing, the deliverables, the emails, helping you to, come up with strategies for whatever. That might be a part of that performance equation. But the other piece is maybe a tool that is something like the career action guide, right? So you're going to put in your own hands, you're going to build your plan for the things that you want to achieve. And I think from there, you could start to put some metrics in for, am I making progress on getting these things done? And do the outputs of that learning, can I use them? And then can I work with that coach in order to get feedback to better improve it? So maybe there's something like that you could put together. Let's see. All right. Are we taking any more questions? Do you see any in our long list here that are
Rosalind's highlighted one for us.
okay.
What's the difference between PMI, PBA, and CBAP certification? Which one has more acceptancy? So you're going to get the biased answer here. So I'll just be frank about that. CBAP to me is the gold standard. Now, I spent 21 years in my career before coming to IIBA. I decided it was an important milestone for me. But I honestly haven't seen what PBA is, and how it compares. I have the impression that it's different, not as thorough. But Susan, I think you've got more experience there, right?
I do. That actually is my BA certification. It is the PBA. And so I would say that that one is more geared towards if you are a business analysis professional, either that does some project management work or that you are more project focused in your work. I think that's really that's the focus of their guide and their standard for that. I know that when I have looked for jobs, and I've had that certification now for, oh golly, 7 years. I know that typically when I have looked for business analysis jobs, they almost always look for CBAP. And so then I have to go in and say, well, I've got another one. Does that count? And so the answer is yes, that counts. But to Scott's point, I think CBAP is typically the one that most organizations know about if they're looking for business analysis professionals. So I have never not gotten a job because of my BA certification. I think they see it um, as as equal to that. But the one that's most referenced is CBAP. So
Yeah, that's a good point. In
mhm,
jobs that I regularly look at, you're right, it is CBAP.
yep. So all right. All right. Well, I feel like we've kept Rosalind busy today with lots of links to our website. But there is a lot of good stuff out there, and I can't stress it enough. If you are new to business analysis and you are wanting to get in, wanting to develop yourself and your career, honestly, that our membership is really a good investment in your career, and it connects you with so many things.
If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and we'll leave another one right here for you to help you in your business analysis career. If you haven't subscribed to the IIBA YouTube channel yet, you can click over here and click on the bell icon to get notified every time we publish a brand new video.